Commander Zixtal stood on the bridge of the Imperial Dreadnought Times, Eternal Dominion Times, and watched the strange vessel approach on his display screens. The ship was small, barely the size of a cargo hauler, with odd angular panels and strange markings on its hull. It moved through space in a way that seemed almost clumsy compared to the smooth glide of Imperial warships. Another primitive species found an old jump drive, Zixtal said to his second officer. They probably stripped it from some wreckage and activated it by accident. This happened sometimes in the far borders of the Galactic Empire. Some pre-spacefaring species would find abandoned technology and stumble into Imperial space. Usually, the Empire would destroy the vessel or take the aliens as slaves, depending on their usefulness. The Empire had ruled the galaxy for 40,000 years. No one challenged them anymore. No one dared. Hail them with standard warnings, Zixtal ordered. Tell them to shut down their engines and prepare to be boarded. The communications officer sent the message in 17 different frequencies and languages. The strange ship did not respond. It just kept moving forward at a steady speed toward the Kelthara trading station. Zixtal felt his patience wear thin. Fire a warning shot across their bow. Show them we mean business. The weapons officer pressed a control, and a bright bolt of superheated plasma shot across space. It passed just in front of the strange vessel, close enough to singe their hull plating. This always worked. This always made primitive species realize they were outmatched. But something impossible happened. The strange ship's surface suddenly lit up with small weapon ports that Zixtal had not even noticed before. Dozens of tiny guns fired in perfect coordination, and the plasma bolt simply vanished in a flash of light. The bolt had been destroyed before it could pass. What just happened? Zixtal demanded, standing up from his command chair. Sir, they vaporized our plasma shot with kinetic point defense systems, the sensors officer said, his voice filled with confusion. Before Zixtal could respond, the communications console beeped. The strange ship was sending a message. When the communications officer played it, everyone on the bridge fell silent. This is Captain Elizabeth Chen of the United Earth Stellar Ship Times, Indomitable Asterisk, a female voice said, in perfect galactic standard language. We are explorers from the planet Earth on a peaceful mission of first contact. We ask that you cease hostile actions immediately. We do not wish to fight, but we will defend ourselves, if necessary. 1. Zixtal felt his blood go cold for a moment, then hot with anger. This unknown species, this human, spoke the Imperial language perfectly and dared to make demands? They destroyed an Imperial weapons shot and then acted like they had authority here? How do they know our language? The second officer whispered. They must have been spying on us, Zixtal said. They must have been watching us for some time. This was even worse than he thought. An unknown species had been observing the Empire without being detected. That should have been impossible. We should report this to Fleet Command, the second officer suggested. No, Zixtal said firmly. I will not report that some unknown aliens embarrassed an Imperial dreadnought. We will handle this now. He turned to the tactical officer. Launch Fighter Squadron 3. Disable their engines and weapons. We will take them alive and find out what they know. 20 sleek Imperial fighters launched from the Times Eternal Dominion's Times hangar bay. They were fast, deadly, and piloted by some of the best warriors in the fleet. They moved in perfect formation, surrounding the human ship from all sides. Their energy shields glowed bright blue, and their plasma cannons charged up. Zixtal smiled. This would be over in moments. The human ship did not run. It did not try to escape. Instead, it rotated slowly in space, and more of those hidden weapon ports opened across its hull. Zixtal counted at least 40 different guns now visible. What are they doing? Someone asked. Then, the human ship opened fire. The sound on the bridge was just the quiet beeping of alarms and sensor alerts, but Zixtal imagined he could hear the screaming. The human weapons did not fire energy beams or plasma. They fired solid metal slugs moving at incredible speeds. The projectiles punched straight through the fighters' energy shields like they were not even there. One fighter exploded. Then another. Then 3 more, in rapid succession. The human ship spun and twisted in space with movements so fast and precise it seemed impossible. Every shot it fired hit a target. Every target it hit was destroyed or crippled. The fighter pilots tried to fight back. They fired their plasma cannons and launched missiles. But the human ship's point defense system destroyed every single incoming weapon before it could hit. Meanwhile, the human guns kept firing, kept killing. In less than 3 minutes, all 20 fighters were gone. Some were destroyed completely. Others drifted in space with dead engines and holes punched through their hulls. A few pilots managed to eject in escape pods. The bridge of the times, Eternal Dominion times, was completely silent. Everyone stared at their screens in shock. Zixtal felt his hands shaking. In his entire career, he had never seen anything like this. The Empire's fighters were supposed to be unstoppable. They had conquered 1,000 worlds with these same tactics. "Get me fleet command," Zixtal said quietly. "Right now." The human ship slowly rotated to face the times Eternal Dominion times directly. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, Captain Chen's voice came through the speakers again. "We rescued your pilots from the damaged fighters," she said. "They are unharmed. We will return them to you. Please, let us talk. We do not want war." But Zixtal knew it was already too late for that. The Galactic Empire did not forgive challenges to its power, and humanity had just made a challenge that the entire galaxy would soon hear about. Grand Admiral Kale Therion read the report for the 3rd time, and each time it made less sense. 20 Imperial fighters destroyed in 3 minutes by a single small vessel? It sounded like a technical error in the report. Or perhaps Commander Zixtal had gone insane. "Is this data confirmed?" he asked his intelligence officer. "Yes, sir. We have sensor logs from the times Eternal Dominion times and from Kelthara Station. We also have testimony from the rescued pilots. It all matches." Kale Therion leaned back in his chair aboard his flagship, the massive carrier times Voice of Empire **. He had commanded fleets for 30 years. He had destroyed rebel uprisings and crushed entire planetary defenses. But he had never heard of anything like this. "What do we know about these humans?" he asked. The intelligence officer brought up a holographic display. "Very little, sir. They appeared at our borders 3 days ago. They claim to come from a planet called Earth in an unexplored region of space. They speak our language perfectly, which suggests they have been monitoring our communications for some time." "Spies, then," Kale Therion said. "Perhaps. But, sir, there is something else." The officer looked uncomfortable. "After the battle, the human ship transmitted a message. They say they want peace. They say they want to establish diplomatic relations and trade agreements." Kale Therion laughed, though there was no humor in it. "They destroy an Imperial fighter squadron and then ask for peace? This is clearly a negotiating tactic. They want us to think they are powerful, so we will give them favorable trade terms. Should we agree to meet with them, sir?" "Absolutely not," Kale Therion said firmly. "The Empire does not negotiate with species who attack us first. We respond with overwhelming force." He stood up and began pacing. "These humans got lucky. They caught our fighters by surprise with some kind of primitive kinetic weapons. But in a real battle against proper warships, their crude technology will fail." The intelligence officer nodded, though he did not look entirely convinced. "What are your orders, sir?" "Assemble the 3rd Fleet," Kale Therion commanded. 47 warships, including 3 dreadnoughts. We will go to Kelthara Station and give these humans one chance to surrender. If they refuse, we will demonstrate what happens when someone challenges the Empire. 2 days later, the human ship times, Indomitable times, still floated near Kelthara Station. Captain Elizabeth Chen sat in her command chair, reading reports from Earth with growing concern. The diplomatic corps was panicking. First contact with an alien civilization was supposed to be peaceful and controlled. Instead, they had gotten into a firefight within hours of meeting the Galactic Empire. "Captain, we are receiving long-range sensor contacts," her tactical officer announced. 47 ships entering the system. They are moving in battle formation. Chen felt her stomach tighten. "How big are they?" The largest ones are massive, ma'am. At least 3 times our size. Reading heavy armor and energy weapons. Chen activated her communication console. "Send a message to the incoming fleet. Tell them we want to talk. Tell them we can arrange a meeting between our diplomats and their leaders." They sent the message and waited. 10 minutes later, a response came back. A large alien face appeared on the view screen. He had blue-gray skin and 4 eyes that all focused on Chen with clear contempt. "I am Grand Admiral Kale Therion of the Galactic Empire," the alien said. "You have committed an act of war against the Empire by destroying our fighters. You will immediately shut down your vessel's weapons and engines. You will transmit all technical data about your weapon systems, and you will submit to Imperial authority. You have 1 hour to comply." Own. Chen took a slow breath. She had fought in Earth's resource wars. She had commanded ships in battle before. She knew when someone was underestimating her. "Grand Admiral, we destroyed your fighters in self-defense after you fired on us first. We do not want war. We want peace. But we will not surrender our ship, our technology, or our freedom. Please reconsider your demands." Kyle Therion's face twisted into something that might have been a smile. "You have 1 small ship. I have 47 warships. Your defiance is pointless and will only result in your death. This is your final warning." The communication cut off. Chen looked around her bridge at her crew. They all watched her, waiting for orders. These were good people. Brave people. But there were only 73 of them on this ship against an entire fleet. "Ma'am," her tactical officer asked quietly, "what do we do?" Chen pressed a button on her command console. "Send the signal." Across the Kelthara system, space began to shimmer and twist. One by one, ships began to appear out of nowhere. They had been hiding using stealth systems that bent light and sensor waves around them. The Empire did not know such technology existed. First came the destroyer times Wellington *, then the cruiser times Beijing *, then the times Moscow *, the times Lagos *, the times Mumbai *. 16 human warships decloaked simultaneously, their weapons hot and their crews ready. The times, indomitable times, had never been alone. It had been bait. Humanity's first contact protocols included plans for if the aliens proved hostile. And the Empire had walked right into the trap. "Admiral Kale Therion," Chen said, broadcasting on all frequencies. "You now face 17 United Earth warships. We still do not want to fight, but if you attack, we will defend ourselves with full force. Please, stand down and agree to talk." On the bridge of the Times Voice of Empire *, Kyle Therion stared at his sensor displays in shock. 17 ships had appeared from nowhere. His fleet outnumbered them almost 3 to 1. But the surprise had shaken him. "Sir, what are your orders?" his tactical officer asked. Kale Therion felt anger burn away his uncertainty. The Empire did not retreat. The Empire did not show weakness. These humans thought they were clever with their stealth ships and their ambush, but they were still outnumbered and outgunned. "All ships, battle formation Omega. Target the human vessels and prepare to fire on my command." He leaned forward in his chair. "Today, we teach the galaxy what happens to those who defy us." The Battle of Kelthara Station was about to begin, and the entire galaxy would remember it forever. The Imperial Council chamber on Drax Prime was built to inspire awe and fear. Its ceiling stretched 50 meters high, carved from black stone and decorated with the names of every world the Empire had conquered. Today, that chamber was filled with the sound of arguing voices. Impossible! War Council leader Draxkor shouted, slamming his fist on the ancient stone table. An entire fleet group cannot be destroyed by 17 small ships. The report must be wrong. High Counselor Vex Nar, the oldest member of the council, shook her head slowly. We have sensor data from 8 different sources. We have testimony from over 2,000 survivors. The report is accurate, Draxkor. Kael'Tharian's fleet was destroyed. The council chamber fell silent. The weight of those words seemed to press down on everyone present. In 40,000 years of imperial history, the Empire had never lost an entire fleet. Individual ships, yes. Small squadrons occasionally. But never 47 warships in a single battle. How? Someone asked quietly. How did they do it? Dr. Melara Venn stood up from her seat. She was the Empire's chief xenologist, one of the few scientists on the council. I have been studying the battle recordings and the information we captured from human communications. May I present my findings? 2. Vexnar nodded. Please. We need to understand what we are facing. 5 Potter. Melara activated a holographic display that showed the Battle of Kelthara Station from multiple angles. The humans fight in a way we have never encountered before. Watch. She played the footage in slow motion. The Imperial fleet had advanced in their traditional formation. 3 capital ships in front, with smaller vessels in supporting positions. It was a formation that had won 10,000 battles. But the human ships did not meet them head-on. Instead, they scattered in all directions, moving at speeds that seemed reckless. Look at their acceleration, Melara pointed out. They pull maneuvers that would kill most species from the G-forces alone. Our pilots reported feeling crushing pressure at just 3 gravities. The humans regularly operate at 7 or 8 gravities. She changed the display to show a human ship attacking an Imperial dreadnought. Their weapons are also completely different. We use plasma and particle beams that are deflected by energy shields. They use solid projectiles moving at incredible speeds. Our shields were designed for energy weapons, not for chunks of metal traveling at a fraction of light speed. The recording showed a human railgun firing. A solid metal slug, accelerated by magnetic fields, punched straight through an Imperial dreadnought's shields and armor. The slug tore through the ship's interior, causing massive damage before exiting the other side. But their most dangerous advantage is not their weapons or their speed, Melara continued. It is how they think. She brought up another recording that showed human ships using the debris from destroyed Imperial vessels as cover, hiding behind wreckage and ambushing other Imperial ships that came to help. They used deception constantly. They attacked from unexpected angles. They made us think they were retreating, then ambushed our pursuing ships. They hacked into our communications and fed false orders to our fleet. This is not how civilized warfare is conducted. Draxkor stood up angrily. You call them clever. I call them cowards who cannot fight with honor. Honor does not matter if you are dead, Melara said quietly. And that is the point. The humans have one goal in battle: to win. They do not care about fighting fairly or showing bravery. They care about survival and victory. Vexnar raised her hand for silence. Tell us about their species. Where do they come from? What kind of beings are we dealing with? Foreman. Melara took a deep breath. After the battle, we intercepted many human communications. We learned much about them. They come from a planet called Earth, which they describe as unusually deadly. The gravity is 1.4 times our standard. The temperature swings from extreme heat to extreme cold. The planet has massive storms, earthquakes, and dangerous animals. She brought up an image of a human. They looked similar to several other species in the galaxy. 2 arms, 2 legs, a head with 2 eyes. But there was something different about their eyes, something intense. Humans evolved as persistence hunters, Melara explained. On their world, They hunted prey by chasing it for hours, or even days, until the animal collapsed from exhaustion. They can run long distances in extreme heat. They can survive injuries that would kill most species. And most importantly, they never stop coming. She paused and looked around the council. But here is the most disturbing thing I learned. Humans have been fighting wars continuously for over 10,000 years. They have fought each other in conflicts so terrible that they killed hundreds of millions of their own species. They have invented thousands of ways to kill. War is not something occasional for them. War is something they have perfected over their entire history. The council sat in stunned silence. Finally, Vexenar spoke. Are you saying they are more dangerous than the Krill hordes? More violent than the Drakthul? The Krill hordes were brutal but simple, Milara said. The Drakthul were savage but predictable. Humans are neither. They are intelligent, creative, and absolutely ruthless when threatened. And we threaten them. So what do? Someone asked. We have 3 choices, Vexenar said. We can sue for peace, we can prepare for total war, or we can try to find their homeworld and destroy them before they become stronger. We should destroy them, Draxkor said immediately. Find Earth and burn it to ashes before they can build more ships. We have been trying to find Earth, the intelligence minister said. We cannot locate it. The humans guard that information carefully, but we have found something else. He activated a new display that showed a star map with 17 systems marked in red. These are confirmed human colonies. They have spread to 17 different worlds in their region of space. Some of these worlds we consider uninhabitable. One has gravity twice our standard. Another has an atmosphere we would find toxic. The humans live there anyway. Vexenar studied the map with growing concern. How many humans are there in total? We do not know, the intelligence minister admitted. The 17 ships at Kelthara were part of something they called the Outer Rim Patrol. That suggests there are more fleets protecting their inner territories. How many more? Draxkor demanded. We do not know. The council began arguing again, voices rising in fear and anger. Vexenar slammed her staff on the floor, the crack echoing through the chamber. Enough. We will vote. All in favor of attempting peace negotiations? Several hands rose, but not enough for a majority. All in favor of preparing for war? More hands rose this time. All in favor of finding and destroying their homeworld immediately? The rest of the hands went up, including Draxkor's. Vexenar looked at the vote with sadness. Then, we are committed to war. May the ancestors forgive us if we are making a mistake. High above the planet, hidden by the same stealth technology that had surprised the Empire at Kelthara, a small human observation probe recorded everything. Within hours, the recording would be transmitted to Earth's military command. Humanity would have time to prepare for what was coming. War Marshal Drex Thor stood in the war room of the Super Dreadnought Times, Fist of Dominion Times, and studied the holographic map of human space. Red markers showed the 17 known human colonies. The closest one was a world called Arcturus III. This is where we strike, he announced to his assembled fleet commanders. Arcturus III is on the edge of human territory. Intelligence suggests it is a mining colony with limited defenses. We will destroy it completely and show the humans what happens when they challenge the Empire. One of the younger commanders raised a hand hesitantly. Sir, the Council ordered us to prepare for war, but they did not authorize an attack yet. Ambassador Webb from Earth is arriving next week to discuss peace terms. Drex Thor's face darkened with anger. Peace terms? We do not negotiate with species who humiliate us. The Council is weak and afraid. They have forgotten what made the Empire strong. He activated the display to show footage from the Battle of Kelthara Station. 47 ships destroyed. Thousands of our people killed. And the Council wants to talk? He looked around at the commanders. Some nodded in agreement. Others looked uncertain but said nothing. Fear and loyalty kept them quiet. We have 200 warships in this fleet, Drex Thor continued. The humans have shown they can field perhaps 30 or 40 ships at most. We will outnumber them 5-1. This time, they will not have surprise on their side. The Times Fist of Dominion Times was the largest warship ever built by the Empire. It was 3 kilometers long, armed with plasma cannons that could crack a planet's crust, and protected by shields that could withstand hits from a dozen regular warships. Drex Thor had specifically requested to command it for this mission. When we arrive at Arcturus 3, he said, we will give the humans one chance to evacuate. Then we will destroy every structure, every ship, every trace of human presence. After that, we will move to the next colony and the next, until the humans surrender or are extinct. The fleet jumped to faster-than-light travel. The journey to Arcturus 3 would take 5 days. Drex Thor spent that time reviewing battle plans and preparing his forces. He did not know that every military message his fleet sent was being intercepted by human intelligence. He did not know that humanity had been preparing for exactly this kind of attack. On Arcturus 3, Commander James Rodriguez received the alert from military intelligence. An Imperial fleet of 200 warships was heading directly toward his colony. He had 5 days to prepare. Evacuate all non-essential personnel, he ordered immediately. Get the civilians to the underground shelters. Activate all defense platforms. And send the emergency signal to Earth Defense Fleet. Arcturus III had been colonized for 15 years. It started as a mining operation but had grown into a thriving community of 30,000 people. It also had something the Empire did not expect. It was a fortress. Humanity had learned from history that colonies on the frontier needed to be able to defend themselves. Arcturus III had orbital defense platforms equipped with railguns and missile batteries. It had underground bunkers that could survive orbital bombardment. And hidden in the asteroid belt nearby was a rapid response fleet of 20 warships. The humans had 5 days. They used every minute of it. When Drex Thor's fleet arrived at Arcturus 3, they dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. Sensors immediately began scanning the planet and its surroundings. Report, Drex Thor commanded. 1 planet, multiple moons, an asteroid belt. His sensor officer said, we are detecting defensive platforms in orbit around the planet. 32 of them. We are also picking up energy signatures consistent with military bases on the surface. Drex Thor frowned. Intelligence had said this was a lightly defended mining colony. This looked like a military installation. Any ships? He asked. No ships detected, sir. That was suspicious. Where were the human warships? They had to know the Imperial fleet was coming. Broadcast the warning, Drex Thor ordered. Tell them they have 6 hours to evacuate before we begin bombardment. The warning was transmitted. The response came back quickly. It was Commander Rodriguez's face on the screen. A human with dark skin and tired eyes. War Marshal Drex Thor, Rodriguez said calmly. This is a civilian colony, protected by interstellar law. Any attack on this world will be considered an act of genocide. I strongly advise you to withdraw. Drex Thor laughed. You are in no position to give advice, human. You have orbital platforms that we will destroy in minutes. You have no fleet. Evacuate now or die with your colony. I gave you a warning, Rodriguez said. What happens next is on you. Noth. The communication cut off. Drex Thor turned to his tactical officer. Begin the attack. Destroy the orbital platforms first. The Imperial fleet moved forward in formation. Their plasma cannons charged up, ready to fire. They closed to weapons range and began their bombardment. That was when everything went wrong. The asteroid belt suddenly came alive. What Drex Thor's sensors had registered as asteroids were actually human warships in low-power mode, covered in rock and ice to hide their signatures. 20 ships powered up simultaneously and opened fire at point-blank range. At the same time, the orbital platforms began firing. But they did not just fire at the nearest ships. They fired in coordinated patterns, their computer systems linked together to create interlocking fields of fire. Every shot was calculated. Every shot had maximum effect. The Imperial fleet tried to respond, but they had been caught in a trap. The humans had placed their platforms and hidden ships in positions that created kill zones. Any Imperial ship that moved into range of one human weapon system would be in range of 3 or 4 others. Evasive maneuvers, Drex Thor shouted. Return fire. But the humans had studied Imperial tactics at Kelthara. They knew how the Empire fought, how they moved, how they thought. Every time an Imperial ship tried to maneuver, human fire was already waiting for it. The battle became chaos. Ships exploded. Plasma beams cut through space. Railgun slugs punched through armor. The Times Fist of Dominion Times itself took multiple hits, its massive shields flaring bright with each impact. "Sir, we are losing too many ships," the tactical officer reported. "We should withdraw and regroup." "No!" Drex Thor screamed. "We will not run from these primitives. Target the planet's surface. All weapons. Fire everything at their cities." There was a moment of hesitation on the bridge. Then the weapons officer reached for the controls to target the civilian areas of Arcturus 3. That was when the bridge's second officer pulled out a sidearm and shot the weapons officer. The sound of the shot echoed in the sudden silence. "I will not commit genocide," the second officer said, his weapon still raised. He looked at Drex Thor. "I will not murder civilians. You are relieved of command, War Marshal." Other bridge officers stood up, supporting the second officer. Drex Thor realized with horror that his own crew was mutinying against him. "You traitors," he whispered. "The Empire will execute you all. The Empire is watching," the second officer said. He pointed to the communications display, which showed that their bridge was being broadcast across the entire battlefield. Every Imperial ship had seen Drex Thor order the targeting of civilians. Every Imperial ship had seen his own crew refuse the order. The fight went out of the Imperial fleet after that. One by one, the remaining ships began to surrender. The humans, instead of destroying the disabled vessels, sent out rescue teams to help damaged Imperial ships and recover survivors. The Battle of Arcturus 3 ended with the complete defeat of the Imperial fleet. But more importantly, it ended with the galaxy watching the Empire try to commit genocide and humanity showing mercy even to their enemies. Everything had changed. The news of Arcturus 3 spread across the galaxy faster than light-speed travel. Every species that had satellite communications or quantum network connections saw the footage. They watched the Imperial fleet try to target civilians. They watched Imperial officers mutiny rather than commit genocide. And they watched humans rescue and care for their defeated enemies. On Drax Prime, the Imperial Council met in emergency session. High Counselor Vex's Nar looked older than her 200 years as she addressed the chamber. "The Empire is collapsing," she said simply. "In the past week, 14 client species have declared independence. 7 of our sector governors have been overthrown by their own people. Our military is in chaos, with entire fleets refusing orders while they wait to see what the Council will do. We should execute Drex Thor and his supporters," War Council leader Drax Kor said, though his voice lacked its usual fire. "Make an example of them. Drex Thor is already in human custody," Vexnar replied. "They are holding him and the other war criminals for trial. They have invited us to send representatives to observe the legal proceedings." "Legal proceedings?" Draxkor looked confused. "Why would they not just execute him?" Cries. "Because humans have laws about war crimes," Vexnar said. "They believe even enemies deserve fair trials. It is part of their culture." She activated a display showing Ambassador Marcus Webb, the human diplomat who had been trying to meet with the Council when Drex Thor launched his attack. "Ambassador Webb has sent us a message. He says that humanity is willing to negotiate peace terms, but there are conditions." The Council members shifted nervously. Conditions. That meant surrender terms. For the first time in 40,000 years, the Galactic Empire would have to accept another species' demands. What do they want? Someone asked quietly. Vex-Nar read from the document. First, the Empire must recognize the independence and sovereignty of all species that wish to leave. Second, the Empire must reduce its military to defensive forces only and submit to inspections. Third, the Empire must participate in something they call the Galactic Coalition, where all species have equal representation and equal votes. The council chamber erupted in shouting. Equal votes? The Empire equal to some primitive species that had just learned to fly? It was unthinkable. But Vex-Nar raised her staff and struck the floor hard. We can refuse these terms, she said loudly over the noise. We can continue fighting. But look at the numbers. We have lost 3 major fleet groups. Our client species are rebelling. Our economy is collapsing because trade routes are blocked. And the humans keep getting stronger. She changed the display to show a star map. Intelligence reports that humans have established defensive positions around all 17 of their colonies. They have revealed the existence of at least 60 warships, twice what we thought they had. And we still have not found Earth. Which means we do not know how many more ships they can build. So we surrender? Draxkor asked bitterly. After 40,000 years, the Empire just gives up? We adapt, Vex-Nar said. 3 weeks later, Ambassador Marcus Webb arrived at Drax Prime aboard a human diplomatic ship. He was escorted to the neutral space station, where peace negotiations would take place. The station was filled with representatives from dozens of species, all wanting to witness this historic moment. Webb was a tall human with gray hair and calm eyes. He had spent 30 years negotiating peace treaties on Earth, ending wars between human nations. Now he faced the challenge of reshaping an entire galactic civilization. Vex-Nar met him in the main conference room. They sat across from each other at a circular table, neither above nor below the other, both equal. Thank you for agreeing to meet, Webb said through the translation device. I know these circumstances are difficult for your people. Your warships gave us little choice, Vex-Nar replied, though there was no anger in her voice. Just weariness. True, Webb admitted. But we are not here to conquer you. We are here to build something better than what existed before. The Empire ruled through force. It could not last forever. You were already seeing resistance and rebellion even before we arrived. We did not cause the Empire's problems. We just revealed them. Vex-Nar was silent for a moment. Then she nodded slowly. We stopped questioning whether our ways were the best ways. Perhaps it took an outside shock to wake us up. Then let us work together, Webb said. Tell me about your people. Not the Empire, but your actual species. What do you value? What do you dream of? They talked for hours. Then days. Then weeks. Other species joined the negotiations, each adding their voice and their perspective. Slowly, carefully, the shape of a new galactic order began to emerge. The Galactic Coalition was officially established 6 months after the Battle of Arcturus III. Its founding charter guaranteed the independence and sovereignty of every member species. No species could dominate others. No species could force their will on the galaxy. Decisions would be made by a council where every species had representation. The Empire still existed, but it was transformed. It became the Imperial Republic, one voice among many in the coalition. Its massive military was reduced to a defense force. The resources that had once gone to building warships now went to education, science, and helping formerly conquered species rebuild. Not everyone was happy with the changes. Some Imperial hardliners tried to start a rebellion, but they found little support. Most citizens of the former empire were relieved. They were tired of constant military campaigns. They were tired of living in fear of their own government. 5 years after first contact, Admiral Elizabeth Chen stood on the bridge of her new ship, the Times Unity Asterisk. It was a combined effort, built with both human and Imperial technology. Human railguns and stealth systems combined with Imperial shield generators and faster-than-light drives. The crew was mixed too. Humans and aliens working side by side. Today they were on patrol, along the trade routes between human space and the inner regions of the Coalition. Piracy had become a problem, as the old Imperial order collapsed, and the Coalition was still organizing its joint defense forces. Chen's second officer was a young Imperial named Kexal. He had been just a cadet when the war happened. Now, he served on a human ship and seemed to genuinely enjoy working with humans. "Admiral," Kexal said, looking up from his sensor station. "We have a distress signal from a cargo ship. They are under attack by raiders. Plot an intercept course," Chen ordered. "Maximum speed." The Time's Unity Times leaped forward, its hybrid engines pushing it faster than either human or Imperial technology could manage alone. They arrived at the cargo ship within minutes and drove off the raiders with a few warning shots. After the crisis was over, Kexal approached Chen with a question that had clearly been bothering him. "Admiral, may I ask you something personal?" "Of course," Chen said. "After the Battle of Arcturus III, humanity could have conquered the Empire. You had destroyed our largest fleet. You had shown you were more advanced than us. Why did you not take control? Why did you insist on this coalition where you have just one vote like everyone else?" Chen smiled. It was a question she had been asked many times. "Because we learned something from our own history," she said. "For thousands of years on Earth, powerful nations conquered weaker ones. They built empires. And every single empire eventually fell because you cannot rule people who do not want to be ruled. Conquest creates resistance. Domination creates rebellion." She gestured to the mixed crew working around them. "This is stronger than any empire. These people choose to work together. They trust each other. When danger comes, they will fight for each other not because they are ordered to, but because they believe in what we are building together." Kexal was quiet for a moment, thinking, "Your species is strange," he finally said. "You could have been conquerors. You could have been the new empire. But you chose to be partners instead." "We chose to be better than our worst history," Chen said. "We came to the stars to start over, to create something that did not exist on Earth. We came to build a civilization where no species is above another, where power is balanced, where different voices are heard." She looked out at the stars visible through the view screen. "The galaxy is big enough for all of us. There is no need for empires. There is no need for domination. There is only the need for different species to learn to live together, to respect each other, and to build something greater than any one species could build alone." Kexal nodded slowly. He turned back to his station, but Chen could see he was thinking about her words. Later that day, Chen recorded a message to be sent back to Earth. She reported on the successful patrol, the rescued cargo ship, and the growing cooperation between species in the Coalition. She ended the message with a thought. "We have learned that the strongest civilizations are not the ones with the biggest weapons or the most ships. The strongest civilizations are the ones that can bring different people together and make them want to work for a common purpose. That is what we are building out here. That is humanity's true contribution to the galaxy. Not our technology or our tactics, but our belief that different voices can create something better than any single voice alone." She sent the message and returned to her duties. Around her, humans and aliens worked together, protecting the trade routes and keeping the peace. The galaxy was changing. The age of empires was ending. The age of cooperation was beginning. And it had all started because humanity had shown the Galactic Empire something they had never seen before. That sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is choose peace over conquest, cooperation over domination, and building together over standing alone. The new galactic order was not perfect. There were still conflicts, still disagreements, still problems to solve. But for the first time in galactic history, different species were solving those problems together as equals. And that made all the difference.